Little move up. Again, it's tech that's sort of the mover, and it always is. Semiconductors in that subsector is the marginal mover for the market. So there's semis up nicely. Retail having a nice morning, too. Industrial. So these are sort of the cyclical sectors doing better. Banks slightly on the upside. Energy is a laggard, has been for a while now after a very brief move to the upside earlier in the month. We just want to show you some China stocks that are moving today. Baidu, Alibaba, JD.com, all this down big on Friday on some reports that the U.S. might be considering restricting investments in China. Over the weekend, Secretary Mnuchin came out and said they have no current plans to stop companies from listing here in the United States. So we see a modest bounce, although not the kind of return up that we saw compared to the downward moves on Friday. So today's the last day of the third quarter. It's important to note how we've been looking globally, and it's a little bit of a mixed market here. I just want to mention the recent IPOs that we had when some of them had a tough time last week. Peloton fractionally up, Smile Direct, Slack, all bouncing a little bit. PagerDuty had a rough week. Lyft down about 1%. So here, mixed for all those recent IPOs. Like I mentioned, last day of the third quarter. And if you take a look at how we've done on the year for the quarter, this is for the quarter, S&P's done well. Hong Kong's had a rough time for a number of particular factors related to that. Shanghai's down 3%. Modest moves up, outperformance from Japan and Europe. This is the stock 600, roughly the S&P 500 for Europe. Leaders in Q3, it's been an odd group, I have to say. Laggards have been, I'll do laggards first. These are all your cyclical groups. We had a tremendous cyclical sell-off. It came back a little bit in the last few weeks, but you see materials weak. Healthcare, biotech had a very tough time, particularly in the last week. Retail down about 1%. In terms of sector leaders, believe it or not, some odd groups. So here, gold's been a big mover up. 20-year Treasury ETFs, this has been outperforming everything for a while except for gold. Utilities and consumer staples. So you see how defensive the third quarter has been. As for the earnings overall for the year, as we go into the fourth quarter, I keep using this word flattish. I've been using it for 3 quarters. I think that's the key thing here. What could move the needle for the fourth quarter? Trade talks, we'll see some things there. Of course, the issue here is tariffs or no tariffs, more tariffs or less tariffs in the fourth quarter, and on hold or not for the Federal Reserve is the main thing. Earnings 2019, as I mentioned, has been kind of flattish for the whole quarter. So far for the S&P 500 companies in the fourth quarter, 14 companies are reporting for fourth quarter. The only thing that concerns me is 13 of the 14 have seen analysts lower the numbers right after the company's reports have come out. That's a little more than expected. And I would note some serious downward revisions that we've seen recently in some recent names, Carnival, FedEx, and Micron. Overall on the quarter, though, remember, flattish is the key word for the year, essentially up or down 1 or 2% for the first quarter, the second quarter, and the third quarter. Fourth quarter right now looking 4 or 5% to the upside. We'll see how that ends out for the quarter.